Speaking of stories, are you ready for your next storyteller tonight? She was born and raised in Tokyo, Japan, and moved to the US in 1996. She's lived in the Chicagoland area with an exception of 2 years in Amsterdam, and worked in marketing for over 10 years before staying home with 2 daughters when her second daughter was born. Currently, she's enrolled in a special education teacher licensure program and hopes to receive the teacher license next year. Please put your hands together for Yukari Finley!
March 11th, 2011. Does this date mean anything to you? It's a date Japan was struck by the Japan East earthquake. As you may know, Japan experiences earthquakes frequently. So initially I wasn't sure how big the impact was, how big this earthquake was. As the hours followed, we realized that that was the most powerful earthquake Japan had ever experienced in the history. The tsunami caused by the earthquake reached 130 feet at the highest point. And the water reached 6 miles inland. And 25,000 people perished that day. And the earthquake was so powerful that it shifted the mainland Japan 8 miles to the east. So I started watching news and I was glued to the TV because I was seeing all these devastation and images that I only saw in movies. The waters seeped inland, turning rice fields into the ocean. And the rivers, the waters were running upstream, swallowing bridges and people's houses, anything that was in the path. And I was saddened, but I couldn't stop watching the TV, seeing the devastation that was caused to my homeland. And then, luckily for me, my family was not affected by this disaster, but my heart broke for those who lost loved ones and families. So then, days after the disaster, different images started to show up on TV. The news started reporting how people were lining up very orderly, waiting for hours to get supplies without any disruption. And how they were saying how there had been no riots or violence of any kinds. And even the road that was completely destroyed by the earthquake was repaired within just in 6 days, so trucks can carry all those needed supplies to the disaster area. I left Japan 15 years earlier, but I was really proud to be Japanese. And then I felt like I needed to do something, but I didn't know how. So at the time, my children were in preschool age, and they were going to a public school in the city of Chicago, but twice a month, I was taking them to preschool, Japanese preschool in the northern suburb of Chicago, so that they can experience Japanese school. And one day, I got an email from one of the teachers. They said that they wanted to collect donation for Japan. And they had identified where they can send money to. And they also created posters and flyers so they can hand out to people to ask for donations. So that night, after putting my daughters to bed, sitting in a quiet living room, I was looking at my computer in this email and thinking. And I thought, if I, Japanese who lived in Japan, did nothing, who would do anything for Japan? So I decided to write an email to a group of my Japanese friends, and I said, I wanted to collect donation, and if anybody was interested in joining me. And several of them responded to me and said they were thinking the same thing. They wanted to do something, but they didn't know how. So we decided quickly the easiest way for us to do is to collect a donation at a public place, because we just needed to show up. So one Sunday, we created donation boxes out of I think it was a tissue box. And then we printed out flyers that we received from the preschool. And we started walking towards the Belmont train station. And on the way there, I was petrified. I had never done anything like this. And usually I'm slightly suspicious of people who are collecting donations in public places. And now I'm going to be that person. So we got to the Belmont train station, and then we spread into 2 groups, and each group standing on either side of the train station. And I was still nervous, and my heart was beating really fast. And then somebody came up and dropped a couple of coins in my donation box. And as those coins made creaking noise on the bottom of the empty donation box, my nervousness started to melt away. And then I started calling for more donation. And then people kept coming and putting money in the donation box. And the box was getting heavier. And some of them stopped and talked to us about how sorry they were about what happened in Japan. And they wished us, we can recover the country with this money that they are giving us. And one of the lady even stopped and spoke to us for a long time. And at the end, she gave us a hug, and we cried. So that was the time I learned how to be strong and resilient and respectful. And also, America taught me compassion, kindness, and empathy. Thank you.